Yo, what's going on, Blackish fam? It's your boy B. I hope all is well in the world. We're gonna get back to some Nas. I've been exploring. There's something I want to get to. It's called Deja Vu, I'm reading a bit about it. It says this classic unreleased track was from the earliest recording sessions for "It Was Written," where Nas sums up the thug life in its perpetual cycle, creating vivid imagery through a slew of complex rhymes. This is going off of Genius. This is the place that puts out the lyrics. They're saying that the first verse of this song is often thought of as one of the best of all time, and it later appeared on Raekwon's song "Verbal Intercourse." And I'm not familiar with this, with the song. Man, I might recognize it after I hear it. I wanted, without further ado, we're going to break down the lyrics and get right to it. Let's do it.
Cameras in action, glamour glitters and gold. I unfold the scroll, plant seeds and stampede the globe when I'm deceased. But in the beast arise like yeast to conquer peace, leaving savages to go.
Yo, Nas, right? He's excellent at painting the picture. Now, listen to what he's saying here, right? He says, through the lights, camera, and action, glamour, glitters, and gold, right? He's saying through it all, right? You're constantly on stage, right? Life is the movie. He said, I unfold the scroll, plant seeds to stampede the goal. So I'm planting seeds in the world that are eventually going to grow to be something. And we're going to control the globe, right?
Plant seeds to stampede the globe when I'm deceased. But in the beast arise like...
He said, this change probably won't happen until I'm dead, right? He said, when I'm deceased, by then the beast arise like yeast. If you know anything about making bread, you know that the bread rises, right? The yeast in it does. He said to conquer peace, leaving savages to roam the streets.
Like yeast to conquer peace, leaving savages to roam the streets. Live on the run, police paying me to get my gun. Trick my wisdom with the system that imprisons my son.
Yo, listen to what he's saying, right? Who knows about in the inner city, they have these police buyback programs, gun buyback programs. They're trying to incentivize people financially to get rid of their guns. But, to most people that know anything about the history of people that have been taking over or controlled, it normally starts with taking away guns, right? And I know there's a lot of issues in this world, I've been pro-gun for a while. Yeah, you might not need an assault rifle in your home, but we have the Second Amendment, right? We have the right to bear arms, and it's not to the right to bear arms if you're mentally compliant or compliant with this. It's not the right to carry a certain amount of bullets. It's the right to bear arms and protect yourself, your family, or that what you deem valuable, right? And he's like, you're trying to trick my wisdom through the same system that imprisons my son, right? This judicial system that wasn't meant for us, that causes us all this grief and terrorizes our neighborhood. You're trying to trick me with that same foolery and make me give up my gun? Bro, sick with it. Anyone that's this lyrical that can make you think about your history and your people and your existence, sick with it. Nas is, top of the game. If he's not top one, he's probably in your top three. If he's not in your top three, I'd be very curious to know. I've made that mistake. I was going over some of Nas's work, and Nas said he was number one, and I was like, I like Nas. I've liked Nas for decades, but he wouldn't be my number one. And then I stopped to think, and people are going in on me on the comment section, right? And I'm like, let's take a step back. If Nas isn't your number one, then how are you defining it, right? Are you defining it solely through record sales? Are you defining how influential he is? How do you quantify what we're looking at? Who's bringing it? Who's been authentic and has longevity in the game like Nas? Not P. Diddy, not Jay-Z. Biggie and Pac really had limited careers. Joyner Lucas, J. Cole, and those cats are a little too young to really have established themselves as a great, right? So who would it be? Eminem? He's done a lot, and I'm a huge fan of Eminem. I just don't know if he can be considered number one. He's number one at some of the things that he does, but I think we'd be better off leaving that for a Nas. Like, who would you say? Kanye? Kanye had a few breakdowns, right? He couldn't quite hang at that spot. He was very influential, but we can have a whole video going over who the greats are. But if Nas isn't top tier, I question if you understand his catalog or if you understand how diverse and what he's been bringing to the game for legit decades. Back to it.
The roam in the streets, live on the run. Police paying me to give it my gun. Trip my wisdom with the system that imprisons my son. Smoke a gold leaf, I hold heat. Nonchalantly,
I hold heat. For those that aren't from the hood, he's holding that strap, right? Nonchalantly. He said I'm raunchy, but the things I do is real.
Things I do is real and never haunts me. Wow, funny style, niggas rolling the pal. Who's the heads profile on the bus to write it down? On the way inside they pussy with their minds on the pretty things like getting props as a true thug's way.
For those that don't know, when you are incarcerated, right, if you're in a county system specifically, people are restricted, and just something that's so small to everyday life means a lot when you're behind bars, right? So what do girls do? They go visit their man, and they have to be creative with how they hide things that they're able to slip to your man. Yeah, you want to slip him some cash, right? A little under the window. There's that little rubber strip, and you can tuck money in, right? You can pass money. You can pass drugs. But people need to be more creative. And if you're in a way where you can physically connect with someone, man, girls have stashed it in their stuff, right? And pull it out, and they might be giving them some coke, right? Or some weed, something that has a lot of value in prison. And that's what he's referring to there. Let's run it back a few seconds.
Pussy with their minds on the pretty things like getting props as a true thug's life. It's like a cycle. Niggas come home, some of go in, draw a bullet, come back and do the same shit again. Yo, on to the tomb, robbers on the unpredictable. Hustle life rapidly, that's the ritual. Here's a toast to my foes, trees and women. Deja, it's like a whole new beginning. Here's a toast to my foes, trees and women.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
Here's a toast to my foes, trees and women.
I've definitely never heard that.
Here's a toast to my foes, trees and women. It's like a whole new beginning. Thugs and alcohol, what a mixture. Just picture your life as a whole. Judge in court, they convict you. They telling you your state of mind like you worthless. So he curses his mom saying Bible verses. That's all she works with. But miracles never leave the churches. Instead it hits the pockets of the preacher. Just
bro, listen to that knowledge that he's dropping, right? He goes back to talk about somebody. He said, you're right, blunts, thugs, and alcohol, right? That's what do you think is going to happen if we have a thug mentality and we're drinking and smoking all day? We're going to get into some dirt, and we're going to have conversations that bring out the worst parts of us, right? But he said, just picture your whole life, your life as a whole is judged in court, right? Now, somebody's trying to define you on these things, this limited knowledge they have of you. And when they convict you, they tell you your state of mind, right? They tell you you're worthless. You're a danger to society, right? So he's saying, he curses. His mom is saying Bible verses, right? That's her only, she's in a position where she doesn't have power. She's powerless. But he says, miracles never leave the churches. Woo! They might be discussing these miracles, but come on now. They've been go home right now. If you're faithful and you're tithing, you're 10%, man, you can go home and you're going to open the mail and woo, there's going to be a check in your name. And I can't even call bullshit on that because I started to explore Christianity. I always struggled with religion. And I swear to God, I put this on my kid's life. That I actually did this one day in church. And man, I cannot lie about this if I wanted to. I came home, there was a piece of mail. I was renting this a house at the time, right outside of Chicago. And man, I opened it up and it was a few $1,000s. And I was in shock because I was literally just talking in church. And that sounds bad. Don't judge me. When they were saying this, and like, there's a miracle, you're going to get blind. I'm like, bro, come on. How am I trying to explore my faith? And these people in church are sending people off, trying to get their hard-earned money and promising them something that will never come. And I'm not even going to lie. I had a lawsuit from when I broke my ankle. And I guess the attorney paid the same person more than one time. So they sent a refund back to the attorney. The attorney sent it to me. Like, what are the odds? On a day that I was just questioning God himself, God was like, oh, you don't think I could put money on the table? You don't think I'm capable of that? Let me show you something, right? Like I was at In Living Color, Fire Marshal Bill. Let me show you something, right? And I shut the up real quick, and I took my butt to church. But I still struggle with my faith, so that wasn't enough. Is it ever enough?
Miracles never leave the churches. Instead it
hits the pockets of the preacher just to purchase.
With a swimming pool labels me a sinning fool. I'm just a nigga who inherited a winning jewel. To be a trendsetter whenever subject to respect. This is all respect. It was the essential. The street light, hustle and the struggle broke ghettos. Rolling coke settles, slow inside a glass kettle. Baby on my TV lifestyles and living easy. Got my crew.
Back just a few seconds here. Make sure we don't forget any of the bars. Pass any.
On my TV lifestyles, I living easy. Got my cool tits flying the jets, get whips with babies pushing cakes. New interactions with templates, celebrating elevation in the seas that we win. How you like that? Toast to my foes, trees and women. Deja, like a whole new beginning. Here's a toast to my foes, trees and women. Deja, like a whole new beginning. Here's a toast to my foes, trees and women. Deja, like a whole new beginning. Here's a toast to my foes, trees and women.
You got another verse in this or what?
Yeah. Life, James and raw Tim's, gators for pretty boy haters in Vegas with chicks tricking fortunes. I'm listening, health and cops whistling. Still I'm drifting in the high blunts like insulin. 95.
Ooh, he said, I'm drifting in a high, right? Blunts are like insulin. Insulin you need is you're a diabetic. If you don't get insulin, you die. He said blunts are like insulin.
Whistling, still I'm drifting in the high blunts is like insulin. 95 I drive high zoning. Stash box on in my truck. I flash not teeth.
Back in the day, you had to get creative about your stash spots because the police would cut open your seats. They even knew that you could move certain types of drugs in specific parts of the vehicle. Shout out to those that know about getting through the coke in the tires and, making things appear one way. In reality, you're trying to get drugs across the border. But to the guys that used to have them old school Caprices and such, in Chicago, you go to the flea market and you could build a custom stash box, right? You hit a combination of keys or you pull a little lever and that box pops up. Nowadays, for those that got an Escalade or so, it comes factory, right? I had a 2016 Escalade ESV, and if I slide my finger under the radio, it actually opens up, and there's a box inside. You can put whatever you need to be concealed.
Look at me now, more blowing, but how far cars, cash, and bitches got me out knowing things you never dreamed I could vouch for. Snake niggas slither on the air lights. I ain't a Christian, but I find that we train like never the one that.
What is Nas? Is he a Muslim? That would make sense because he seems to have that same mentality from like the Nation of Islam. But I always just assumed he was a Christian.
Acts all the time, so what's safe? A mask and a 9, I fake, I make my problems sing.
He said a mask and a 9. That's all I need to make these problems go away, right? A 9, that pistol, and a mask. We all know what a mask is, thanks to COVID, right?
And now similar to how we drink. Distinct diamond blooded spink shines on my links, drug money. Snorting bitches in the end of time. Got my line till I flatline, nigga, give me my.
Got my 9 till I'm flatline, right? Until I'm gone, you're not taking my gun.
Deja vu, deja vu. Deja vu,
that's it. Back in the day, you had these long outros, right? Because sometimes they set up, you had these long outros and they would sometimes set up the next song. Or they would be, little creative pieces. Or you can extend this, and if you had the vinyl version, you can mix this in, and you start mixing. Right? You can just break it down. Yo, sick with it, man. Nas is one of the originals, right? The GOAT. Nas is up there. He's definitely in my top 3. And sometimes it makes you have to go back and revisit, right? Nowadays, everyone is so woke, and now it's becoming cool again to be intelligent, right? And it's becoming cool again to make moves in the world. Like Nas has been talking this talk when it wasn't cool. You have to remember, like, I was born in 1982, so I'm a kid of the 90s, right? And back then, it was cool to be class clown. It wasn't cool to raise your hand in class, like, oh, this guy knows everything, right? Now, people used to joke around with me and call me IQ. And nowadays, it's like, I would love that, right? If you call me IQ, that means that you value my intelligence, or you at least understand the intelligence. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with being smart and being an intellectual and making moves in this world that are for the greater good, right? It's like, don't get it twisted, bro. I still roast you. I still whoop that ass. I can still throw these hands. But I want what's for the greater good of our communities, right? I want to see our people do better. If you want to call me a lame because I like, I study. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm 39 years old, and I still take classes, right? In a constitutional law class I take at Northern Illinois University. Like, that hunt for knowledge, there needs to be a thirst there. And, that's so missing in our communities. That little thing you hold in your hand, right? That phone. It can do so much more than just YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. That's a whole gateway to knowledge that you need to live a better life. If you're a fan of not just Nas, but living a better life and really bringing positive change to the community, this is that altar call, right? Like and subscribe, and help me put other people on game, right? Let's spread this knowledge. This is that altar call, but we ain't talking about religion here. We're talking about our communities. Let's get it.